Yeah, that's great. I love the show and everything, but there's how many episodes? With the creation of Angry Birds Toons and the Toons TV app, it'd be weird for Rovio to only make one show. It was prime time for them to make another series based in the Angry Birds universe, but just what could the show be about? Well, it's time to roll around the mud and oink, because them bad little piggies are getting their own dang show. But this isn't just Toons from the pig's perspective. Pigs aren't anything like birds. Pigs are green, pigs sometimes have legs, and of course, they have shorter attention spans, stupider ideas, and wacky inventions. So of course, these episodes are much shorter, and often feature a single minion pig doing something stupid. What more could you want in life? The show received more episodes and more seasons than Angry Birds Toons, which is pretty dang impressive. But why? Does the show deserve 124 episodes, or should they have quit while they were ahead? It's high time we find out as we rank every single episode back to back. Welcome everyone to my actual nightmare. If you've seen my video ranking every Toons episode, you might remember the torture I went through just to post it. I spent my entire month of June uploading the video again and again and again, trying to remove all copyright from it. And I have no intention of doing that again, trust me. A lot of this video is just going to have to consist of still images, otherwise it cannot exist. These episodes are so heavily copyrighted, I have no way around it. I'll show actual clips when applicable, but this is just how it's going to have to be. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the Toons video, or just long deep dives into the entirety of a TV series, then this is going to be absolutely pigalicious. Plus, there's no way we're getting bored here. Every season has an entirely new theme, and eventually we got the Angry Birds movie style mixed in towards the end. Since when do pigs have legs? Regardless, it'll be fun to see the show evolve and try new things as we go. I have never listed 121 of anything without stopping before, so join me as we look through every nostalgic title card and I go absolutely insane naming every episode. Or don't, you can just skip this and watch the ranking part right now. It's your loss, honestly. Here we go. Trampoline, Roughnecks, Abduction, Teeter-Trotter, The Hole, Push Button, The Mirror, Super Glue, Piggy in the Middle, Epic Sir Bucket, Push Button Trouble, Sha-Zam, Puffed Up, Peekaboo, Up or Down, Gloves, Snooze, Superpork, Cake Duel, Dr. Pork MD, Hog Hoops, The Cure, Up the Tempo, Jammed, Fly Piggy Fly, The Game, The Catch, Snowed Up, The Wishing Well, Stuck In, and It's a Wrap. That is a wrap on Season 1, but we ain't even close. Let's keep going, I'm pumped! Nailed It, Lunch Break, Screw Up, Pile Up, Step 1, Jackhammered, Race Nut, Predicament and Paint, Get the Hammer, Fabulous Fluke, Magnetic Appeal, Porkatron, Grand Opening, Lights Out, Tipping Point, All Geared Up, Dream House, Home Sweet Home, Mind the Gap, Unhinged, Sticky Situation, Final Exam, Three Little Piggies, Bored to Pieces, Ready Aim Play, Goosebumps Special, Demohogs, and Swine Symphony. Holy crab loads, that's only half freaking way! I don't know how I haven't screwed up yet, this is incredible. Alright, I can do this. You got this, chicks. Ah! Wrong floor! Bouncing Buffoon, Up the Ladder, Sharpest Shooter, Snack Time, Batter Up, Magic Matchup, The Bubble Trick, Piggy Dive, One Big Hurdle, Piggy Vaulting, Art School, Chalk It Up, School's Up, Broken Chair, Hidden Talent, Hiccups, Let's Tango, Scared Sick, Shadow Pig, Pumpkinhead, For Pig's Sake, Remote Pig, Pig Interrupted, Light Dance, Pig Expectations, Gift Wrapped, Holiday Song, Lost Piggy, The Mime, Snout on the Wall, Re-Abduction, Ball Games, Slip Up, and Final Curtain, which lists to reveal the last season. We are so dang close! I gotta speed this up. Get your stopwatch ready. I'm submitting this to the speedrun.com Piggy Tales title cards reading any % category, and I'm wasting time! Scary Fog, Holiday Heist, Pig City Valentine, Road Hog, Slingshot Delivery, Bad Signal, Egg Hunt, Hoop and Loop, Cops and Robbers, Ghost Hog, Hard Day's Light, Branched Out, Pig and String, Pork Brigade, Getaway Loot, Joyful Jingle, Happy New Pig, Muffin Master, Well Done, Green and Furious, Dream Dog, Dodge and Deliver, Ramp Champ, Slam Punk, Doorbell Symphony, Getaway Graffiti, Light Riders, Post No Pigs, Snout Invasion, and Pigs Can Fly! Wait, what the hell? No, they freaking can't. Whatever, I did it in record time and totally never messed up and edited out. That would be cheating against the speedrun. With all of that out of the way, it is finally time to find out which are the best episodes of Piggy Tales and which ones end up in my compilation of epic fails. Can you guys believe we still have 123 more episodes after this? We should probably get through these quick then. For each episode, I'm going to recap the story and then discuss what I love or hate about it before ranking them. And I know recapping sometimes took a while for Angry Birds Toons, but those were all over 2 minutes long with full-length stories, while Piggy Tales shorts are usually under a minute. And when I tell you that the first episode features a pig finding a trampoline, jumping on it until it launches him up, and the camera pans up to show this isn't the first pig who's done this, and that's it, I think you can see this will be a pretty easy task. Still, that's an awesome joke, just seeing them all squished on the ceiling like that. Speaking of, they wouldn't be squished at all if they weren't made out of clay. The first season style is all about looking like claymation on this empty white void. I totally was fooled thinking these episodes were really made with stop motion as a kid, but they've instead inspired the Lego movie by using computer animation to achieve the style. It's really charming and leads to some really funny expressions. This first episode is filled with hilarious screenshots from just this one pig. We're off to a great start, but I know things get better. Better than pig stuck to the ceiling? Man, if they start rolling around in mud, you're gonna make my country accent come out again. Let's put it in B and move to episode 2. This episode actually works perfectly for showing still images because almost the entire episode is one. It's a really cool idea based entirely on the sound design, so you're left to imagine what could be happening. The only bad thing is you guys can't hear it and just hear my stupid voice instead. A construction pig all the way at the top of a tower drops his hammer and he has to walk all the way down to get it. Then he has to climb all the way back up. Then he drops the hammer again. This time a pig swaps his saw for a hammer though, and they both seem pretty happy with the trade. But when the pig climbs up again, the saw was too good and he falls with the saw for the last time. The magic of the episode is that you were left to imagine what he was doing up there, but at the same time I want to know what he's doing up there. And I actually feel that the ending is a little lackluster because we don't see it. Don't get me wrong, this was really fun to watch, but compared to the wacky antics coming up soon, I'd have to say D tier. Sorry, Roughneckers. Wait, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. Wow, just 3 episodes in and we're already getting to the good stuff. The episode starts with this pig literally just staring at a wall, but he's distracted from his task by a tiny UFO. The alien reveals himself as a tiny little pig, who sounds like this. I don't know why, but watching this pig just uncontrollably laugh at the tiny alien pig made me laugh too. It's just a stupidly funny scenario. But the tiny pig is pissed and he goes right into Laughing Pig's mouth, and that shuts him up quick. The pig is flown away against his will, presumably never to be seen again. It's such a simple episode, but with this series especially, simple is never a bad thing. I loved what it set up and will happily give it an A tier. Wow, guess we're fat shaming now. Anyways, the stupid fat ugly pig is sad about being stupid fat and presumably ugly as well, all because a small attractive friend gets to use the Teeter-Trotter. He literally just gets up and leaves, leaving his once attractive friend looking like this. Now they're both ugly! God, I hate fat pigs. At this point I must note this is a joke and I will stop, do not cancel me for this. The small pig tries using fireworks to lift the fat pig, but they instead explode them into the air, making the fat pig feel real joy for the first time in his final moments. Yeah, no freaking way they're surviving that fall. It's a cute enough episode, but nothing unexpected or funny really happened, so let's say C tier. I love this world the pigs live in during the first season. Everything is a white void with no signs of life outside the pigs we get to see, and every once in a while they come across something like the hole. Piggy Tales is unironically the original Backrooms, and no one's talking about it but me! The whole episode is a couple of pigs messing with the wind coming out of an ominous hole, and again they're just so entertaining to listen to. They both jump into the wind only for it to be turned off, and again we only get to imagine what it's like at the bottom. Then they are shot out like a rocket, and they run away in fear as the hole ominously turns back on. I love the idea of this, and I think it uses the idea of not seeing what's happening much better than the second episode did. I'm still not ready to give out an S tier, but it can definitely go an A. A pig comes across the titular push button and has a blast pushing the button without understanding what it does. Once he's had his fun, he walks forward into a literal graveyard of the pigs he just murder-lated with the push button. He actually finds their corpses pretty amusing until he gets chased down by the push button himself. I love the added bit where all the pigs he squashed laugh at him for getting squished too. Now this is the S tier episode I've been waiting for. I actually have a Mandela effect memory here where the push button controlled gravity, which is really weird, but I found this episode very amusing watching it back again. Let's welcome our first top tier to the list. This one is so funny too. I saw the joke coming a mile away, but the execution was what makes it so perfect. This is the actual reincarnation of Chuck we're seeing, cursed to be born again as a pig for all the sins he's committed. And he is unbelievably infatuated with his own reflection. He nearly kisses himself at one point, that's how down bad he is for himself. Then a pig walks up and invites his reflection elsewhere, leaving the self-centered pig more red than any pig I've ever seen. And yeah, it's a little underwhelming, but the buildup of him going nuts in front of the so-called mirror is what makes it funny. The little roar he does is just perfection. Still, not much else to note. B tier. Look, at this point, I'm on to you, Rovio employee. First you put inflation into every game with bubbles, and then when there's only pigs, they somehow still make an inflation episode. And now they're going as far as to make the human centipede too? Well, pig centipede, I guess. That is pretty funny though, and just how did the pigs get into this predicament? It's all because of this one tube of super glue. The pig hardly even touches the tube before another pig is stuck to him, and from there, each pig can't resist joining in. I love that one is attached by the nose, and another one is being dragged by the ears, and thankfully none of them seem to be attached inside of another pig, human centipede style. They used accordion music to emphasize their caterpillar movement, and that's a nice touch too. But nothing too crazy, again, B tier. I definitely remember this episode, but I didn't remember just how hard the singer goes. It's almost like a jump scare. The piggy in the middle is sick of it, uses a can to get the ball to himself, only to shoot down the one and only tender pig out of the sky. Again, these episodes so expertly make use of their fixed cameras, and if you ever hear music or singing, you have to expect they're somewhere off screen. It was cool just seeing the tenor pig too, as every other character has been the same generic pig up until now. I found the ending scene with the tenor pig trying to keep singing a little much though, and I honestly wish the episode cut to credits as the piano fell on the pig. That kind of brings it down to C tier for me. This episode came out just as the brand new game Angry Birds Epic released. And while this doesn't really have anything to do with Epic, we see Sir Bucket messing around until he runs into the one and only ominous anvil, which is actually an item from the game. I am so amused by the image of this anvil being held up by a single red balloon, and you can feel a sense of dread as the pig inspects it from underneath. It holds steady though, and he makes the brilliant move to cut the string holding the anvil up. The joke is so stupid, but I could not help but burst into laughter as the pig looks up and screams in terror as the red balloon falls and crushes him. It makes absolutely no sense, it should not be funny, but doggone it, I love it. S tier, baby. Would you look at that, it is the grand return of the push button. Remember my Mandela effect moment from before? Well, it's real! It's really real! Guess that means Nelson Mandela really did die in prison while reading the Berenstain Bears, who knew? Anyways, the push button has taken an all new effect, tilting the entire plane of existence when pressed. I really love seeing the pig use objects from Bad Piggies. I'm sure fans of Bad Piggies can relate to that. Then the box falls on the button and it's infinitely pressed, causing the world to spin before stopping completely upside down. It falls, crushing the pig and spinning endlessly. It was an entertaining return of the push button, but I'd have to say I like the original better. It's still the push button though, so A tier. I waited this whole episode for a man with a big lightning bolt on his chest to walk in and say Sha-Zam, but no! Turns out the Mandela effect is real, and I was thinking of Kazam. My bad. Instead, the episode shows us two pigs with a magic wand. They don't stumble upon the wand, it's literally just in front of them, which is so much funnier to me. They use it and are horrified by their new hammerhead friend, but once he's fixed, the audience sees they've already gone too far because they find it entertaining. They go through a variety of inanimate objects, and my favorite has got to be the wheel. But one becomes a mirror, bouncing the beam back and leaving them both as immovable objects for the rest of their lives. Man, some of these episodes are dark. We gotta be on the lookout now. Any mirror or green umbrella that shows up could be these two pigs. If I miss a mirror or umbrella in an episode, let me know in the comments. I'm on a hunt now. I definitely enjoyed this one, but I wouldn't put it higher than B. I cannot believe they gave inflation lovers a whole minute and 20 seconds of pure, fully inflated goodness. Rovio must have some homies on the inside, just saying. If you look at funny Angry Birds pigs, you're gonna see a lot of cursed images from this episode. Luckily, I adore cursed images, so I can't wait. Two pigs literally just have an inflate off, making the most funny but uncomfortable faces each time, until one gets all corked up. He's so full of air he starts floating, and if you pause the scene just right, it looks like they're making out. And then he shoots around the room, losing air, and falls flat on the floor. Other than the funny images I'm keeping on my phone for educational purposes, I really wasn't impressed with this one. C tier. I don't really get why this one is called Peekaboo when they're literally playing hide and seek, but I can't even be mad because we have an absolute icon here. The mentally challenged pig is so funny to watch, and finding out his prank was to perfectly paint his face white to hide was a pretty good twist. I definitely thought we had like an almighty being situation on our hands, but thankfully he was just doing whiteface. Wait a second, you can't do whiteface in 2023? First we have Lando Bird, now we have this guy, and I'm left wondering how Rovio hasn't been cancelled yet. Or how I haven't. Yeah, we better move on now. C tier. Up or down, eh? I'd say it's mostly downs.
Mostly downs! Mostly downs!
A pig struggles to catch an elevator, only for them to both open at the same time. He can either choose the completely empty one or the jam-packed full of piggies one. They linger on this for a while, despite us fully understanding which elevator he's going to choose. It still puts a smile on my face because it's so silly, but I'd have to say this is one of my least favorites of the season so far. That F tier is only worthy of actual dog dookie episodes though, so we live another day and put this one in D. I'm not too crazy about this one either. In a world where no creature has arms or legs, the pigs come across a pair of gloves. If you're not on board with the apocalypse theory yet, then what's the holdup? But to be fair, that is the entire joke. Two of the pigs use the gloves in a myriad of dumb ways, such as the udders of a cow or a trampoline. But when the little pig tries to show them how to clap, the pigs are completely unimpressed. And honestly, they should be. They don't have hands! The joke just doesn't land very well, and it's only entertaining to see what uses the pigs can come up with. Again, it's not unbearable, but this is the closest we've gotten to F tier yet. Still, D tier. Leave it to Piggy Tales to make an episode about two pigs sleeping entertaining. As someone who snorks and mimimes myself, I definitely took this personally, but I'll put it aside for now. One pig can't sleep because the other is being too loud, and he does everything he can to wake him up. Not only does he conjure a train into existence, but he is so determined that he straight up obliterates him without hesitation. I love the detail that his eyes open in this scene, almost as if he's just doing this on purpose. All this work wears out the pig, causing him to snork and mimimi himself. The other pig's reaction to this absolutely kills me. He's so annoyed and he tries to wake him up exactly the same way. And of course, the joke of this waking him up is good too, but we've all seen that one a million times. This episode manages to beat that overdone trope, and I will happily give it an A tier. None other than Superpork makes his debut, chasing down a criminal. It's pretty funny his name isn't a derivative of Batman, considering this is straight up a Batman and Robin ripoff. But we see their attempt to get across a gap between buildings, only for him to succeed as the criminal switches sides and runs away. The joke that saves this mediocre ending is that Superpork wasn't even aiming for the robber, he's just happy to have gotten to the other side. Still, I was hoping for a lot more from an episode called Superpork. I still hope to see him again, but his episode goes in C. Two pigs ogle over the same piece of cake, causing them to sporadically become gentlemen in order to properly duel for it. While it is cursed to see their piggy tails... Wait a second, that's the name of the show! While it is cursed to see their piggy tails stick out straight like that, I'm actually more disturbed by their sudden gentlemanly attire. During their battle, they accidentally slice the cake in half and decide to just share it instead. Again, we are getting so dang close to F tier, but we're just not quite there yet. When we have one, you'll know it, you'll feel it. D tier. And now for the best episode of season 1, we have Dr. Pork MD. Every single second of this episode is hysterical, and I cannot wait to share this episode with all of you. The episode really feels like a culmination of everything that came before it, so not only is it very funny, but really exciting too. 3 patients are visiting Dr. Pork MD, and it seems like the medicine he gives them is pretty much the only cure they'll ever need. They still must go through a checkup, complete with the doctor taking notes on everything, which is absolutely the funniest gimmick to me. Him diligently writing complete chicken scratch is so funny. His second patient is Tenor Pig, who honestly could just come from his incident in Piggy in the Middle. Again, the same procedure is done, doctor's notes are taken, and he is cured with his medicine. And then, none other than the pig from Abduction floats into the doctor's office. The freaking Dr. Pig looks at the camera as if this is the same typical shit he has to deal with every day, and it makes me laugh every single time. The doctor begins to suspect something is wrong, quickly writes down a very important note, and goes for the hammer only to have it fried by the patient. When he asks for him to open wide, UFO flies out, cursing at the doctor, then leaves, resulting in another cured patient. And the doctor freaking chugs his quote-unquote medicine to cope with what he just witnessed. Now I understand what makes this medicine of his so good. I could not believe how perfect this was, and watching it again showed me things I missed, like the diagram of the pig just having question marks for every part of the body. It's as complete as a man trying to label the parts of the female reproduction diagram. This is the greatest episode so far. S tier. That took a while, so let's keep this short. A pig is winding up to dunk a basketball, the music keeps getting higher and higher, and the tension gets dragged out more and more, until the pig gets fed up with the organ player and perfectly switches him instead. It's a good bit, but can't compare to most episodes. C tier. After just watching an episode with a medicine bottle, I was confused to see how this episode could differ. The pig has trouble getting the cork out of the bottle, but uses his built-in corkscrew to free it, revealing he just watched the Suds episode of SpongeBob and only needed the cork, completely curing the sick pig. It did catch me off guard, but I was honestly too distracted being grossed out by the sick pig. We're just forced to watch him suck his snot back and forth through the whole episode, and it definitely brought the whole thing down for me. Plus this episode is just a bit redundant. I'm saying D tier. As a construction pig works on some stairs, a sound effect expert makes comical sounds to fit his actions. They use this to climb the non-existent flight of stairs until the pig looks down, ruining the illusion. This episode is just a bunch of nothing. Literally, he walks up nothing and that's it! I've really been enjoying this so far, but this one is just a waste of my time. I could be watching Pork MD again. I think we all know when Jake starts getting angry, something's about to go down. Oh, it's going down alright. All the way down to our very first F tier. Man, the first one always feels good. Now let's get some more. In the episode Jammed, two pigs attempt to open a jar with no luck. It's really just a heightened version of The Cure, getting to the point where they're using a chainsaw to get this lid off. I gotta say, there's some pretty amusing moments throughout. For one, we get our first Wilhelm scream. They use a cake to get a file out of, and the idea of a prison cake being the only source of files is a good bit. But the funniest part is that the pigs get madder and madder each time their tool fails. Like they're annoyed at first, then they're mad, then they're pissed. And the freaking stank eye this pig has is so intense. They are so determined that they stand point blank near TNT, only to be stuck inside the jar after the smoke clears. I do think that's a little funny, but it's just too out of left field to stick the landing for me. Now, if there's a cute anime waifu in that jar, he might pique my interest. But nah, no Japanese babes in sight. I did enjoy the build up though, so it can go in B. I'm a sucker for any bad piggies representation, so a full dang episode of contraptions is an absolute treat. I'm pretty sure these could all really be made in Bad Piggies too, so recreating this episode in game could be pretty fun. Anyways, the pig just wants to fly, so in the end he uses a bunch of rockets and blast off, only to hit the ceiling. He really got what he wanted. What a greedy little pig. This episode makes me want to play Bad Piggies, which is always a good thing, but it wasn't all that great otherwise. C tier. The most simple premises are always the funniest. I was dying watching this episode play out. First off, it's a game of chess with a board that a small brain such as myself much prefers the overcomplex bullcrap in a normal chess board. But after the first move is made, it is just impossible to beat. Look at that! He freaking made an E10 opening, can you believe it? What do you mean you don't think I've ever played chess before? Whatever, that's not the point. The winning pig is so cocky that he just turns around, completely confident that he's already won to the point where he whistles the Death March song. As he's turned around, the pig comes up with his genius plan. I love how loud the board screeches as he points it in his favor. And with that, we once again enter a never-ending cycle of these two spinning the board so they can win. It's such an obvious joke, but it's always they execute it so perfectly in this episode. My only complaint is that it does run on a little long, so while it was very close to being top tier, I'm gonna put it in A. This one too goes on pretty long, but watching the pig go fishing, we're left wondering, what is he fishing for? An actual fish is too easy, and I'd love to hear what you think. I kinda just assume there's a pig down there personally. Anyways, the pig seems to think his bait is the key to catching something. As a last ditch effort, he puts his saw on the hook. He gets a bite, but it snaps his line. But by far the best part of the episode is seeing that saw come up underneath him, as you can only imagine what horrible creature is about to swallow him whole. And there are horrible creatures in Angry Birds history, just look at some of these guys. God, Jim is such a freak! I only like the ending of this one, but it is a pretty great ending. Let's go with B. Our first Christmas episode is here, featuring a pig hanging out with a big ol' snow pig. The pig sticks out his tongue, but quickly realizes that would be foolish and is a really bad idea. Then of course he does it anyways. Man, I love this show. Trying to get his tongue unstuck, he stretches that thing like crazy, only for the entire snow pig to smash into him, combining them into one. This one is as plain as they come, but those little moments make it as good as it can be. Still B tier, but as good as it can be. The mysterious object of the day is a wishing well, and they are taught that it can make multiple of any item from an apple. They try out a hammer and have a blast, but one hits the pig on the head and he falls into the well. Now we need to pray to the copyright gods because I cannot explain this clip, only watching it can do it justice. I am an absolute sucker for cutaway jokes, and seeing the room get darker and the sounds of pigs coming down is one of the best clips from this entire show so far. Nothing else even matters. How can that not be S tier? Ah yes, pulling the sword from the stone. We've all seen this before. I knew it would go one of two ways. I was pretty much convinced they would go the route it was using the sword with the stone still attached to it, but instead they picked the other one, which is wanting the rock, not the sword. I should have known. The joke sucks, but thankfully the actual highlight was seeing the pigs combine themselves into different tools in an attempt to free the sword. Just watching this pig get completely stretched out is amusing enough. So I'd say this pretty much evens out to a B tier. Unlike Angry Birds Toons, Piggy Tales actually does season finales. However, they're usually like really sad and depressing. I do enjoy getting to see all the references to the episodes of the season, with some of my favorites being those pigs still stuck in the jar, the UFO, and of course the pig caterpillar. The main conflict of the episode is a little smudge on the camera, and the only interesting thing about it is how dang photorealistic that soap looks. But once it's clean, the pig just kind of stands around, unsure of what's left. He leaves the room and says a sad little bye as the episode ends. Like I said, if I was a kid, I'd be bawling right now. It's over? They could at least tease the next season or something. I'm just freaking depressed now. Makes me think about how there's no sex episode, Mustache Pig and Corporal Pig aren't here, I'm about to graduate and I'm spending my time watching a cartoon show for children, and most importantly, it's over! Oh wait, we still have like 90 more episodes. God dang it, we still have 90 more episodes! I do like this ending, but truthfully, comparing it to everything else, it really isn't a good episode of the show. We only had one F so far, so screw it, let's make it 2. And we have officially finished Season 1. It's going to be hard to top that one. There are so many moments here that generally made me laugh out loud. So far, this show is absolutely incredible, and I could not be more excited, considering Season 2 is really just more of the same. But I guess we'll have to see if it's just as good, a little better, or bad, but I'm really hopeful that isn't the case. Also, just like in the Angry Birds Toons video, each season will have its own tier list and a combined one, so let's grab a fresh list and get started. Season 2 is called Piggy Tales, Pigs at Work, and every episode is much more centered around the pigs building and making inventions. Each episode also has a completely unique intro, and it would be a shame to not highlight a few of my favorites, such as the words getting painted on only to run out of room, a massive wrecking ball smashing into the logo, and this hose that shoots fire rather than water. There's a bunch more, and sometimes these are better than the actual episodes they're attached to. But the premiere is an episode titled Nailed It, and as you probably expect, it features a pig absolutely nailing it. And by it, I mean a nail to this wall. The nail refuses to stay, however, and we see him use a series of objects to push it completely in, including a nice cameo of the push button. It seems as though he's gotten the nail to stay, and our only question left is, what's pushing the nail back out? Well, as the camera pans over, we see, of course, the exact same scenario happening on the other side, down to the objects and everything. These pigs are like clones or part of a hive mind or something, I swear. We can assume these pigs are driven to madness afterwards, and who knows what objects they'll use to make it stick. This was an alright start to the season, but it still feels like we're getting warmed up. B tier. As a couple pigs take their lunch break, a fellow pig continues working on cutting a piece of wood they're on. The pigs finally notice what's wrong, and give the pig a much more efficient tool for completing his task. I'm honestly as satisfied as them seeing just how productive they can be as a team. And of course, the show seems to love the cutaways as much as I do, so we never actually see the result of the pig cutting the very board they're standing on. It's a pretty easy joke to make, but I thought the episode was really funny. So much so that's going at the top, S tier. We are given absolutely no context as to what job these pigs are doing, but they appear to be on a picnic basket, floating with a few balloons and doing a little screwing. Wait, what? Get your mind out of the gutter! I miss the sex episode as much as anyone else, but these pigs have a job to do, people! Not to mention one of their balloons popping, causing them to fall pretty quick. In Bad Piggies you gotta drop off your sandbag, but here you obviously get rid of your hammer, TNT, and balloon animals. But when this doesn't work, they try getting rid of their anvil too, and when that doesn't work, the pig gets rid of his ideal light bulb. The other pig is too young to die, so the other sacrifices himself. Give this man a raise! Except, he took the screwdriver with him. Alright, maybe we should cancel that raise. I enjoyed watching these antics play out, but I felt like the ending was pretty lackluster. I think once the pig jumps, the basket should have had too little weight, and it shoots into the sky. Now that's freaking funny. But no, Angry Birds never likes my ideas. Well fine then, B tier. Two pigs are building a tower, but after a while they run out of blocks to use, so they have the brilliant idea to just reuse their blocks. Why didn't I think of that? And as always, this works until one of the pigs actually looks down. Clearly these cartoon antics can go on forever as long as you don't look down. Amateurs. I like actually getting to see them fall for sure. I don't think this one would work as well if it cut before then. Plus they use the snap and crack action words from Bad Piggies, which is a great touch. There's nothing bad about this one, but nothing impressive either. I hate having so many B tiers, but let's be honest, this is absolutely a B tier. We've never seen pigs actually try to follow instructions before, and this episode proves why they probably shouldn't. Their first attempt results in a nice flight of stairs, but that isn't what they wanted, so they try even harder to make this section of the tower from season 1. But that ain't it either. They make a basketball hoop from Hog Hoops, they somehow make a rocket, and then they realize the instructions were upside down all along, and they were really trying to make a box. Classic mistake. I like these references, but they were also probably just reusing assets realistically. I love the frantic bits in between though, and at one point one is hammering with a saw, and the other is cutting with a hammer. It was a good build up and definitely better than the last one, so A tier. Man, this title card goes hard. A lot of the season 2 ones are great, but this one I'd happily send my friend with no context any day. A jackhammering pig is just doing his thing when another pig realizes he's headed straight for a cliff. He can't hear the warning, so the pig builds a bridge for him just in time. But the jackhammering pig just turns around, and then the world breaks? And then the spot the pig is standing on breaks? I feel like they needed to find a way to make this pig who tried to intervene get hurt, but this just doesn't make sense. I assumed his bridge would collapse when he was standing on it, but no. The ground he's standing on randomly crumbles for no good reason. Dumb. D tier. Another bad Piggies episode. You know I love to see it. This little pig really wants to use a rocket on the big pig's contraption, but he's too stubborn. He finishes his magnum opus and starts the race, only for it to fall apart just before the finish line. And the little pig uses his rocket to prove him wrong, using the finish line pole to smack him back the way he came. I don't know why he was so against using the rocket, but he really got his comeuppance. That was really deserved, wasn't it? No! C tier. This pig literally paints himself into a corner, and no matter what he tries, he cannot make it out while keeping the floor painted. It's a really funny premise to just watch play out. In the end, he makes this crazy mess, but a construction pig is actually super impressed. Any fellow art majors know this is the most relatable shit in the world. You can make crap, and everyone's just enamored with your skill. It's the best! Nothing that incredible happens in this episode, but I just find myself really enjoying the idea of it. Let's put it in A tier. This episode pretends that it isn't part of the Pigs at Work theme, and it's just a game show about climbing up and grabbing a golden hammer first. I really love the middle pig strategy. This guy is going somewhere. The whole time this last pig is super cocky, and finally brings in a crate of TNT to blast up and grab it. And then he just wins and it ends. There's no twist, there's no ending joke, it just ends. I don't even respect this episode, it's just bad. Period. F tier. Period. Rube Goldberg machines are so satisfying to watch, so getting an episode all about one is definitely a highlight. This pig can't get a nail all the way down, so he throws his hammer away, causing a chain of events that result in what he wanted. He finds another nail and cleverly tries again, and it's really fun to hear the chaos happening without seeing it. It's great that it doesn't even work. He just coincidentally murdered a bunch of innocent pigs and destroyed a piano, which is pretty much the funniest thing he could have done. A tier. This construction pig needs a toolbox, but it's all the way up there. After giving his fellow pig brain damage, he's reminded of a magnet because of a disgusting deformity. They wait very patiently for the toolbox to fall, and the little guy encouraging his actions while a chainsaw gets closer and closer to them made for the perfect build-up. It turns out that the chainsaw wasn't an issue, but that magnet is a little stronger than it initially seemed. We see so much crap coming at them, including a different chainsaw, and that is really funny to me. Best of the season so far. S tier. I am so tired. I thought that said Pokemon, oh my god. While a pig is working, he accidentally falls into a box of tools, coming out as the one and only Porkatron. He's crazy powerful and really fun to hang out with. So the pigs are inspired to make a mech of their own. I truly don't understand this episode. Like, Porkatron is awesome, I can't deny that, but the story around Porkatron just makes no sense at all. Why did the pigs also want to be a robot? Why do they do an anime high five at the end? Why don't I go and get some goddamn sleep? Well fine, maybe I will, and maybe then it'll make sense afterwards.
2,000 years later.
It still doesn't make sense. D tier. This mayoral looking pig is making a speech at the grand opening of this thing. And when he ceremoniously cuts the ribbon, it falls apart, which is awesome, and they move to the next grand opening of the day. Imagining how long this has been going on definitely makes the idea better, but this is a pretty straightforward episode otherwise. B tier. While a few pigs are working, the light keeps going out, and every time it does, they go wild and have the time of their lives. Some party pooper comes and fixes the light, and the three simply close their eyes and have a little party in broad daylight themselves. I don't know why, but this is the first time I cringed at one of these. I get secondhand embarrassment from these fictional pigs somehow. I like the animation of them in the dark, but otherwise I didn't really enjoy this one. C tier. Watching two pigs struggle to regain balance while an anvil moves back and forth between them is really great. You're really on edge as it gets closer and closer to falling. And this pig is so close to falling before the other one has an idea. This whole thing happens in like a single second, so let me explain what happens and actually show you what's happening. A fat pig drops down to even the scale, then the pig spits the anvil out, presumably killing the fat pig instantly, and the other two struggle to hang on to the other side. Okay, now watch it in real time. That is such an amazing couple of seconds of animation. The fat pig reminds them that they're barely off the ground and they fall, relieved. And any basic, boring, ugly episode would end there. But this one manages to go above and beyond by showing the whole world is put off balance and they begin falling once again. Sometimes, this show just knows exactly what I want to see, and this was totally freaking it. S tier.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Harry Gold. I smelled grayscale and came running, but I didn't really expect to walk in on an Angry Birds tier list. Oh well, seeing as I'm here, I might as well rank this short on Mr. Miller's behalf. It stars a beleaguered member of the porcine proletariat who gets up to such hilarious hijinks as struggling through a mundane minimum wage factory job and coping with existential futility. After revealing that the pig's production line is actually just the one wheel getting broken and repaired over and over again, the plot of this cartoon ends before it ever really began. There's about as much substance here as there is colour, with only marginally more dialogue. Nerf? I think I just got cursed out in Swedish. Now you may wonder why a cartoon where nobody speaks would bother trying to look like a silent film, and this is where my black and white expertise comes in. It's actually a parody of a scene from the 1936 Charlie Chaplin film Modern Times, in which old Chuck also struggles to keep up with a factory conveyor belt. Admittedly, I haven't seen much of this show, but are references to films 10 times the age of their target demo common around here? And don't think I didn't notice you stole my Berenstein Bears book, Jacob. Make throwaway gags out of my hard work, will you? Lucky for you, this isn't a minor copyright infractions tier list. Anyhow, I'm putting this bland nugget of Rovio stagnation right in F tier, where it belongs. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear someone ranking the grayscale episodes of Better Call Saul. Ta-ta.
Alright, next up is, wait a second, was that Harry Gold from the Harry Gold Show? That's like my favorite YouTuber! Oh man, I can't believe I missed him. Guess we have to talk about my second least favorite YouTuber's house instead. Yes, that was a dream joke. Sorry, I'm just really off my game right now. With just one nail, a pig asks for a construction pig to build his dream house for him. And while each one is incredible, the pig is just too picky and won't accept any of them. That pisses off the construction pig, and he destroys the castle he just built, and with the nail returning to the pig, he goes to find his next victim. So apparently these pigs are master builders and can create amazing structures in seconds, yet they make terrible vehicles and can't follow simple directions. We see this in the Sandcastle episode of Toons too. King Pig got his dream castle that's even better than his real castle. Basically, these pigs use 1% of their power at all times and would be an unstoppable force if they used any more. Anyways, this episode's fine, but boring. C tier. They put the two house-based episodes back to back for some reason, but this is basically the exact opposite of the last one. The pig starts out with a complex blueprint but feels like it's too complicated. He draws a new plan, and honestly this guy should get a job as an illustrator rather than construction. That's impressive. He simplifies his design as far as it can go and makes his dream house. Honestly, it just became my dream to own a piggy tree. As the long-awaited sequel to the Piggy Tales house duology, I'd say the sequel was much better than its predecessor. A tier. Two friendly pigs just want to say hi to one another, but there's this dang gap in the way. We see them build a bridge in fast motion as bystander pigs begin to awe the spectacle. Even the mayor pig is ready to cut the celebratory ribbon on this bridge. They lay down the final plank of wood and are seemingly all together for the first time. And the obvious joke I was waiting for was that the bridge would break because of all the pigs, but I am glad I was wrong, as the camera spins to reveal the optical illusion we've been witnessing. Let's suspend our beliefs about how the pigs never realized this, and simply enjoy the visual they presented here. Honestly, this pig that lays a single plank down to complete the bridge is an actual genius, and this major problem they seemingly had is completely fixed. But yeah, other than the reveal of the illusion, this one isn't too special. Still, A tier. This poor pig can't get his lunchbox open, so a fellow pig builds the perfect object to help. It is finally complete with one tiny box on top, and we watch as it falls over and the baby box nudges the lunchbox just enough to pop it open. Great! I'm so happy for you! Your episode goes in D tier, but I'm so proud of you! I don't mean to alarm anyone, but based on that title card, this might be a sex episode. A pig wakes up stuck to the ceiling with only a few objects to work with. The anvil isn't enough, but he manages to use a box to his advantage, becoming free until he lands wet concrete. Wait a second, it's over? Man, I could have swore that was cum. Anyways, there were some really fun moments here. The Mario block above him was great. The unexplained nature of how he got stuck up there in the first place is great. And just the overall atmosphere here is really well done. He's appropriately freaking out. I know I'd be panicking if I was cum stuck to the ceiling. This would look amazing in 3D too. The way he swings forward before going to the crate is some great movement. We haven't had a lot of top tier episodes in season 2 yet, so what the heck. Let's go S tier. I've been wondering how all these pigs got these job positions. There's a reason it is somewhat difficult to pass a driving test or be certified as a nurse or something, and I'm pretty sure Piggy Tales taught us this lesson. Before this came out, the world was a much more terrifying place. Now they show this stuff to people in training, so thank you, Piggy Tales. I guess I haven't explained the plot yet, but it's really pretty simple. A pig does everything wrong on their final exam and is given a perfect score and sent out to work. It then cuts to complete anarchy caused by these pigs who have no business being construction workers. But yeah, that is basically how this episode should end. It's a pretty funny visual. I will never question safety tests again thanks to this episode, but it's also really just another C tier. A tale as old as time. Beauty and the Beast. I mean, Puberty and the Priest. I mean, the 3 little pigs. Sorry, I get this messed up sometimes. 3 pigs build houses made out of hay, wood, and bricks, and life is good until they hear howling. I was curious to see if there'd be a wolf or not, and imagine my shock when an angry birdified wolf was shown on screen. He's not a bird, he's not a pig, where the freak do I rank him? They destroy their own houses before hiding in the brick one, and the epic reveal of the actual wolf is just a pig with a cold, who sneezes and blows their house down. I knew I shouldn't actually expect a wolf, but what I wouldn't give to see this thing show up in an episode. Oh well, guess that means D tier. What? There was no wolf. I have no choice. I get so much enjoyment from watching this pig do a completely pointless task for as long as we do, just nailing board after board to the wall. Except he runs out! Thankfully, there's a whole wall full of a single plank of wood he could use. Once placed with the rest, the camera zooms out to show countless pigs have all done the exact same thing, and now the tower will collapse. I have so many questions now. Were they told to do this? Is this just an instinct? Do they all think the same way? Are they a hive mind? I love this episode and the questions it causes me to ask myself. I would like to place it in S tier. These next 2 episodes aren't really episodes. They simply released around this time and follow the art style of the show. So while it technically could not be included, I ain't about to hear a bunch of complaints that I skipped them. So here we go. Ready, Aim, Play is a promotion for the Toons TV app, and we see a group of pigs recreate the home screen. I love the somewhat crude drawings of Slingshot 101 and Bird Flu, although it's weird that Red has no thermometer here. We even get a Stella episode featured, and this one is called Don't Steal My Birthday. Alright, fine, I won't. Sorry that I'm sick of being born on 9/11, jeez! Anyways, it's basically the whole thing. Afterwards, they play the most random clip from the premiere of Toons Season 3. What a strange promo. While it was more fun than a clip show or something, it's still not a good episode, and it's not even a great ad. F tier. Rather than promoting something from Angry Birds, this time it's the Goosebumps movie. If you didn't know Jack Black was in it, well, this episode really doesn't allow you to not know that information. The way it's laid out at the end makes it look like it's called Jack Black Goosebumps. I guess they thought Bad Piggies fans wouldn't care about it if it didn't feature Kung Fu Panda himself.
I'm not a big fat panda. I'm the big fat panda.
Remember the episode Jammed, where they attempt to open a jar? Now, imagine if you will, the most insane twist on that concept. Imagine if you will, the jar is actually a book, and they try to open the book the exact same ways, down to using a chainsaw and blowing it up. What do you mean that wasn't hard to imagine? Probably because I was showing it to you on screen. The one twist we do get is that for the first time in this world, we see a creature other than a pig. The book releases some gnomes from the Goosebumps movie. You don't remember the gnomes? Clearly you never read Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, or watched my video ranking Goosebumps books based by their cover. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that to come up in my Piggy Tales video. Anyways, what the freak are we still talking about this crappy ad? For literally just copying an old episode for the shameless promotion of the movie, I have no choice but to give this one F tier. As the penultimate episode of the season, they really wanted to go out with a bang in Demohogs. Their schematics require a flower to be placed next to a house, but there's this big old white monolith right in the way. That's definitely fixable. With just a few metric tons of fireworks and TNT, it'll move right out. I love the gag of the pig about to detonate, with the other one warning him that he's too close. Now that's a safe distance. And the explosion doesn't even do anything, only one of the fireworks lights up and activates the rest. Well, against the odds, this massive structure is lifted, allowing them to place the flower in its perfect spot. And once again, they have crafted my favorite ending. There isn't even an audio cue that they're about to be wiped from the face of the earth in mere moments. We simply see a massive shadow cast over them, and that is amazing. I can't help it, that's just so good. S tier. Episodes like Swine Symphony remind me of Phineas and Ferb making music on toilets. Yep, that's my reference. The toothbrush music they make while they scrub toilets. Deal with it. Instead of toothbrushes and toilets, the pigs are making music just by doing their typical construction. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a short enough clip of the music that I could play for you without getting copyright striked. But the good news is, it doesn't even sound good. Wait, they made a musical episode but the music doesn't sound good? Awkward. I do like that the tender pig is kind of hiding amongst the construction pigs here, like he was forced to assimilate for the Pigs at Work theme of the season against his will. He joyfully breaks into song, totally ruining the vibe, but they all go back to making okay sounding construction music. The camera zooms out on this last scene of... Honestly, I have no idea what that is. I see the snout, sure, but is that it? It almost looks like a musical note, but yeah, I don't really get it. I've seen some people suggest this is their tie-in to the third season's theme, but that just seems like a stretch. As the season finale of the Pigs at Work season, I am pretty disappointed here. I'd much rather see a depressing ending like the first season than this, but oh well. Maybe one day the finale will do better than F tier. While the tier list looks pretty much as balanced as the first season, I can't lie. I enjoyed those early episodes much more than the second season. Still, I have an idea what's coming next, and I can't say I'm very optimistic. It's sad knowing that the clay-looking CGI style is officially gone, and in its place is one of the worst art styles Angry Birds has ever had. Well, there's no delaying any longer. I'm officially ready to face the second half of Piggy Tales. All I hope is that Dr. Pigrespect will join us. Season 3 is known as the third act, moving the theme to performance and plays all taking place on this one stage. And while it sounds like a big change, you haven't seen nothing yet. Angry Birds just found their new favorite art style and forced all their fans to be subjected to it. The pigs now have arms and legs. It's insane, I know. But does that signify any decrease in the quality of the show? Who knows, it could even get better. This is the last episode on our list that isn't really an episode of the show. There are 121 official episodes, which is why I made that mistake in the intro of the video. I added in the 3 extras, and this last one is a teaser for the new season. An elevator appears on stage with a clueless pig inside, and the audience is filled with pigs waiting to see his performance. The pig presses a button to leave, but it opens again, and as he frantically tries to escape the situation, he tips the entire elevator over. And it ends with an epic reveal of the season's logo. I actually found myself enjoying this episode more than I thought I would. There are definitely benefits to having full bodies for the pigs now, as they can express in more unique ways than ever before. At the same time, their smooth oblong body shape is really disturbing to look at for too long. The birds movie designs actually make sense, but the pigs literally get stretched out and they called it quits. I don't know if this is a good season 3 episode or not, but I was pretty entertained. Let's go A tier. Now we have our first real season 3 episode, and unfortunately you must look at this presenting pig as much as I did. The most insane thing about this episode is how it is by far the worst episode of the series, and it's the first episode of the season. Can't say my expectations are too high for the rest of this thing. The pig does some sort of interpretive dance with the balloon, which is blue for some reason despite the title card having a red one, and the whole time he's making very suggestive faces at the camera. He finishes his act planning to use a pin to pop the balloon, but he pops himself instead. Alright, let's get a kill counter on screen. Anyways, yeah, that was totally horrible. F tier. A worker pig brings in a ladder to fix a light bulb, but once that one is fixed, another goes out, and then the other goes out. And once he's fed up, he decides to just destroy the light bulbs instead. On his way out, they turn back on? Nani? This episode is nowhere near as bad as the last one, but I mean, come on. We just got 2 seasons of wacky antics, and the best they've got is light bulb humor? I'm being generous here with a C tier. Finally, an episode where the message is size doesn't matter. You know some employee at Rovio is feeling self-conscious. 2 big boy pigs with massive plungers recreate the scene from Brave, all while making fun of the pig with the micro slingshot. But if size doesn't matter, then why do you take out a gigantic rocket and murder the pig? Doesn't that ruin the message? And he didn't even hit the apple, so didn't he also lose? And why is the death counter already at 2 just 3 episodes into the season? This episode is pretty bad, but not bouncing Buffoon bad. D tier. Wow, a vending machine episode. I just wonder if the candy gets stuck just before falling. Yeah, it gets stuck before falling. All the pig wants is a Mr. Beast bar, but it won't come out. Rather than just pushing it, he tries pretty much everything in his power. Using literal magic doesn't even work. He tries to cook it at one point, which is so strange it did get a laugh out of me. At the final straw, he goes inside of the machine, only to switch places with the delectable These Nuts Mr. Beast branded bar. And falling over, probably starving to death, and bringing the kill count up to 3 now. I think I'm gonna quit keeping score. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna die in every freaking episode now. Despite this being a pretty overdone trope, this is one of the more entertaining episodes so far. B tier. Next up in this miserable hellscape, we have... Is it really you? Chef Pig was the GOAT of Angry Birds Toons. And no, not an actual GOAT, but the greatest of all Toons. If anyone could save the sinking ship, it's him. The Chef Pig is showing off his skills, but after flipping a souffle in the air, it doesn't come back down. He tries again, and of course, the same thing happens. A pig even burps out scream, which is pretty amusing. He makes a massive pie, laughs an evil laugh, and throws it up. only to have the most obese pig you will ever see fall down on him. Yeah, you're not surviving that kind of weight crushing you. This episode was alright, I guess. Maybe I'm just being nice because Chef Pig is watching. Still, that's a B tier at best. A duel of magicians is unfolding in front of us, and at first their tricks are pretty horrible, but they start to get better over time. I don't even want to know where that chainsaw went. One pig pretends to disappear, fooling the other pig, so he tries so dang hard he straight up craps himself. But he really does disappear, proving him to be the best magician. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the animation in this season is so stiff and crappy, and it only adds to the horrible episode concepts. We've got another C tier, people. Now we get to watch pigs blow snot bubbles. Funny stuff. The greatest snot bubble of all time encapsulates the pig with no way to pop it. Their attempts to pop it are some of the worst animated scenes yet. The physics on these guys are just completely out of whack. They finally use their sharp tail to pop the balloon, and if you pause it just right, you get an image that probably shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. But in popping the bubble, it merely split in twain, resulting in their problems being far from over. Me and my new extended vocabulary agree this episode is quite shit, you see, and will be properly placed in its appropriate quadrant. D tier. I'm personally afraid of heights, so watching this pig be terrified to dive into a pool below is pretty relatable. He tries tricking the audience so he can chicken out, but they start getting angry and throwing plungers at him. He decides to suck it up, close his eyes, and go for it, only for the camera to reveal it was a tiny pool just a couple steps from the ground. And the crowd goes nuts after he does it. This was actually an alright episode, and as always with these kinds of videos, my standards have really forcibly been lowered by this season. If this is part of the original 30 episodes, it'd be in like C, but we gotta throw the third act a couple of bones and give it an A instead. Hold on, this is the 69th episode, and I don't see a hint of sex. Did I click the wrong link? Oh, my bad. I forgot to go on Porkatron. Now I see the sex. Hey Lois, remember the time the pool looked far away but was actually really small?
Oh yeah, that was friggin' sweet.
Well, we should do that again, shouldn't we? This stupid, ugly pig is on a treadmill, attempting to jump a few hurdles that turn out to be tiny. He can't get past the first one, he falls backwards and breaks his teeth, and the crowd goes wild. What are these episode concepts? Who came up with this? It was Jim, wasn't it? God, this is torturous. I don't know if I can take any more of the show. It needs to get better soon, or things are gonna get ugly. F tier. Not a fan of getting over hurdles? Alright, well this episode actually will be one big hurdle, and the pig must vault over it. And with all of these episodes, he tries over and over. At his limit, he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes, and it would freaking apply. The pole falls on the floor, and as he proudly walks over it, he trips and falls. Wait a second, that was actually kind of funny? Of course, they lean back on their cutaway endings, and an abrupt moment is always going to catch me off guard, but hey, they actually managed to make me laugh. B tier. I am currently in art school, so they're preaching to the freaking choir here. This pig draws a series of very colorful and pretty well made pieces with a single graphite pencil, but just can't get it right. He fills the whole room with drawings before smashing his face into the paper, resulting in a Picasso-esque pig drawing, and he puts the paper down showing the drawing to be perfectly spot on, which is also a laugh out loud moment for me. And hey, that is so true. Draw a million well-made art pieces and your teacher rolls their eyes, but smash your face against the table and bring in a paper with your literal blood, sweat, and tears on it, and they can't get enough of it. Anyways, this is definitely the best episode yet, so it's going to take that first S tier spot. Who knows if it's going to have any competition. This pig just wants to use a chalkboard, but it keeps moving, revealing that there's a pig on the other side. They immediately start playing ping pong, sword fighting, and hey, what do you know? They use TNT. I think the writers just decided if they couldn't think of a funny ending, someone in the room just shouted BOMBS and everyone started laughing hysterically. I like the title card a lot actually, but the episode is just absolute schlock as always. D tier. No matter how hard this little piggy tries, he can't get the swing to, well, you know, swing. Another pig has no issues and offers to help push the other pig. So heckin' wholesome, but the school bell rings meaning recess is over and the pig promptly goes back to class, meaning the swing can no longer move and he has condemned his fellow pig to a terrible demise. At least it makes for a somewhat humorous ending. Yeah, not terrible, but, you know, C tier. These pigs have no business being that caked up. Where does this episode even get a B? A pig randomly walks in the theater and sits down, breaking the chair. On cue, 3 pigs come out on stage. The whole time I was trying to understand what they were doing. Is it an instructional dance video kind of thing? Is this the foreplay in a porno kind of thing? Well, we basically get our answer when the pigs do a little dance, the front one turns around, literally lunges at the sitting pig, and a freaking cloud of smoke appears. I don't even want to know what they're doing in there. That might as well be a freaking sensor bar. Holy jakes! Am I even allowed to be watching this right now? This whole video is gonna have to freaking go up on Porkhub, I guess. After the pigs finish raw dogging the guy in the chair, they leave him in absolute shambles. And of course, the chair is in more shape than before. I don't even know how to rank what I just witnessed. I don't think I'm comfortable saying what I think that was, so I'll just let this clip do it for me. Gang rape. I was confused the entire time, but still couldn't take my eyes off the screen. I guess A tier? Simply for that fat, juicy, hidden talent? I think we already saw the hidden talent last time, if you know what I mean. I've got a little hidden talent right now, if you know what I mean. Anyways, we can talk about this episode for as long as you'd like, or we could get this over with and just skip to the racist part. Big surprise, I hate racism. Seriously, this episode was made way too recently for this to be acceptable. Obviously, F tier. A little better than racism is unoriginality. And for some reason, hiccups are such a fun concept to Rovio that they made it the focus of an episode of Toons and Piggy Tales. The poor pig's to be or not to be monologue is ruined by the hiccups. And wow, you guys are not going to believe what happens in this one. He tries over and over, at his limit he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes and it would freaking apply. Whoa, major deja vu. The ending joke is that the skull has the hiccups now. Can you believe it?
No.
So what are we waiting for? Slap this thing in F and let's keep going then. The fat pig returns, as making fat jokes truly never gets stale. Does it, Rovio? I personally stand with fat ugly pigs, but that's just me. How is this season chock full of clips like a fat pig getting his belly centrally rubbed? How? The two pigs are trying to tango, but the fat one always steps on the other's foot. Even hung by a string, the fat pig launches his partner to Kingdom Come and gets all the glory of their performance. I guess a happy ending for the guy to keep fat shaming is a pretty nice thing to do. So sure, let's put this one in B then. I guess in October and December during the season of Piggy Tales, they did a series of holiday themed episodes rather than just one. So our first of 3 Halloween episodes is Scared Sick, featuring a hungry vampire who just wants to do a little sucking. You and me both, brother. But he's also sick and accidentally sneezes the teeth right out of him. He attempts to get them back, only to be stuck on the chandelier as the lights go out. Poor guy. I mean, he is an evil vampire, but I just kind of relate to him, you know? So screw you, pig. Just let yourself get sucked from time to time. C tier. Next up, a couple of pigs try to put on a shadow show, and the audience wants to be scared but is just too bored by these silly silhouettes. I don't know how these pigs contort in the shape of a house or an angry bird, but at least it led to some of the best animation in the season so far. The pigs come out to take a bow, but wait, if they're up here, then who's making the shadow?
Nosferatu!
No, not you, Nosferatu. It's just a random worker pig. Not too bad of a joke. B tier. While carving pumpkins, one of the pigs thinks it would be funny to put it on his head, but he can't get it off. And my mind was completely blown when I saw how the rest of this episode played out. You can't make this stuff up! He tries over and over, at his limit he uses a rocket and or an explosion, and finally gets what he wants. I could literally replay the audio of me saying that for half of these episodes and it would freaking apply. Now that's what I call a unique concept. I mean, yeah, you could totally say that for any episode. You're so right, Jake. I do love me an abrupt ending, and seeing them celebrate as a couple of pumpkins randomly fall on their heads is a pretty good bit to end on. Yet another B tier. All these pigs in the theater are being rude and making noise? For pig's sake! This poor little pig just wants to enjoy the show, but this fat pig is in the way. This rude guy is chewing gum, and this annoying guy brought in his home telephone, found a telephone cable and connected his phone line, and started talking like the rudest pig ever. The little pig launches himself thanks to the gum stuck to his seat, and he gets to be in the front row for a single second of the performance. Ruining everyone else's views as well, I'd presume. Not bad. A tier. A pig pretending to be the robot turns out to actually be a robot, but his remote control stops working. He gets impatient, proving he actually isn't a robot, but can still control the other pig with remote control. He leaves him in an unflattering position on stage, and the episode ends. Huh? F tier! Chef Pig is back. But wait, where's his hat? Hold on, enhance! That mustache is way shorter than Chef Pig. This must be like his stupid cousin or whatever. Maybe being awesome runs in the family? All the imposter pig wants to do is sing, but the microphone won't stay still. Getting into a fight with it causes him to swallow it, somehow. So he goes off screen and burps it up. He's finally ready to sing, but it extends him to the ceiling with a somewhat humorous cutaway. That explanation was long, and the episode somehow goes on longer than that. We are really close to the end of the season, guys. Just bear with me. C tier. Oh my god, is it really possible? Good animation? I can't show too much, but please, enjoy the actual best scene of the entire season for as long as we can. Heck, even in the freeze frames, it's got more personality than the rest of the show. But a pig comes and unplugs the lights to warn Rovio that they just spent their entire budget on that one scene, and they spent 30 seconds or so showing the pigs stand in one spot instead. But the end reveals that the pigs were actually supposed to be making a Christmas tree, and this was a surprise holiday episode. Who knew? Anyways, no matter how dull the middle part of this episode is, we gotta give it proper recognition for that light dance. S tier. The size doesn't matter guy didn't get his fill the first time, so here we are again with the brand new allegory of Christmas presents. The fat pig got an appropriately huge present while the small guy is packing no heat. They swap and uncover the Russian doll nature of their presents. The big one has smaller and smaller ones inside with a baby little candy cane. Meanwhile, the tiny present has the complete opposite. They could not have picked a better candy for this double entendre. I see you, Piggy Tales. The episode is pretty alright, which means for this season, A tier. While trying to do a little gift wrapping, this pig gets stuck to his present, and trying to get unstuck involves him wrapping himself up just under the Christmas tree. Surprisingly, this is the first episode that generally could not keep my attention. I started thinking about more interesting things like taxes, for example, and then the episode was over. Maybe you shouldn't do multiple Christmas episodes, guys. One is usually plenty. F tier. Would you believe me if I told you we still had more Christmas episodes? Well, you better, because there really is. The music is this beautiful rendition of Silent Night, which I can't play for you, but it sounds like this. Silent night, holy night. Oh! The angel pig is getting frustrated with the rope pulling him up, and he falls. Only to be caught by none other than Kris Kringle himself, who proceeds to murder the angel pig and dance around the tree like a weirdo. Truly could not think of a dumber episode than that. F tier. The mustache imposter returns and... Wait, hold on, we got enhance again. That is not the same mustache. Is this Chef Pig? But he's singing again. This makes no sense at all. They already have a Chef Pig model, and they make a different mustache pig, and now they make a different model? The creators of the show are insane. This pig is constantly interrupted too, but this time by a lost piggy. Absolutely fed up, the mustache pig puts him in a box and sends him to Peru. But now the postal pig is lost too. I like that actually. What the heck, the season's almost over. Give him another A tier. What I wouldn't give for the mime of this episode to be the mime from the Angry Birds movie. Or Sasha Lynx. That would have been pretty cool actually. Instead we see an invisible battle between a mime and a member of the audience. It was kind of fun at first, but it truly just ends up going nowhere. Let's skip to the ending where they're tied up by an invisible rope. Yeah, awesome. Be thankful you didn't have to listen to the god-awful music in this one. It doesn't even fit the mime theme, other than being really annoying, I guess. F tier, for sure. We watch a pig paint a few snouts on the wall, and as he takes a bathroom break, there's a perfect outline from where he was standing. A random pig finds it funny to fill in the space himself, but is caught green-handed after the painter pig finishes dropping logs. The painter pig either doesn't see him or is secretly evil, because he paints him right to the wall. I'm leaning towards the evil thing though, as we see this is not his first victim. For that reveal alone, I'll give it a nice B. Despite the original abduction episode presumably happening in a different dimension entirely, we are getting a sequel with Re-Abduction. For a second I thought it was going to be a complete copy of the first one, as the tiny pig arrives and is laughed at right on cue. But this time the pig is shrunk down so they can have a proper conversation. The worker pig is pretty smart though, and takes the UFO for himself, leading to an epic chase scene, which of course, zoomed out, looks very silly and cute. The alien is now grown to a normal pig size and abducted himself, and now the episode ends the same way the first did. I really like the way they handled the sequel episode, taking the initial concept, turning the middle into an action scene, and ending with the brand new abducted pig. Can't wait to see this guy return. S tier. One pig is trying to read while the other's being annoying on his rubber ball. This probably wouldn't be funny, but the specific noise and repeated poses of the pig slowly wear you down. The reading pig immediately chooses violence and punches the ball, only to have it bounce him back. He tries hitting it the other way and gets knocked out again. He's ready the third time and jukes it perfectly, even doing a Fortnite emote at the end. only to be crushed by a brick wall. I don't care who you are, that's funny. Are we having a little renaissance here? I think so. S tier. There's a wet floor sign up, but the floor seems fine. Yet this pig can't get past it. I honestly think this is a psychological thing. He's convinced himself that the floor is slippery. And I am freaking out. I can't believe this finally happened. He tries over and over. He uses a rocket and or an explosion. I could literally replay the audio of me saying we get to see him fall on his face over and over, but the janitor comes and picks up the sign without even slipping once. Yeah, that pig needs therapy. Not a bad episode, but definitely not part of the Renaissance. B tier. Well, this is it. We finally finished the season, and there's just one left to go. We are back to the depressing ending, as we see all of our favorite pigs put their props in the trapdoor. We see the vending machine, the micro slingshot, even the vampire's teeth all get thrown down. And Chef Pig wasn't even Chef Pig? God, I hate the French. The clip of the fat pig lunging himself down is pretty great too. The whole time, the worker pig is really sad to see everything and everyone go. I think that really adds to it. The viewer is supposed to be sad that it's over. Aw, babe, don't cry because it's over, cry because it happened. And yes, while TNT is the cop-out ending once again, seeing just how much TNT they put down there proves they were aware of how overused it was. All that TNT causes a massive explosion, breaking through the back wall. The fourth wall, if you will, as this transitions perfectly into the theme of the next season. Guys, how did the first two finales suck balls? And the bad season did it perfectly! Just goes to show that the third act was an absolute mess, and while we had a few good episodes, I am so relieved to be done. At least we get to add one more S to the list. It's over. It's finally over. If you stuck around for that, then I'm guessing you're with me for the long haul. Luckily, there's just one last season to go. Let's all remember to take this tier list with a grain of salt. I ended up being way too nice. All of those A tiers were very generous, and the S's of the seasons aren't even comparable to the others. Anyways, will Piggy Tales redeem themselves? Or will they somehow last for 2 seasons longer than they should have? Piggy Tales Season 4 is known as 4th Street, and this is definitely the only way I can see the show continuing. We've been confined to a single space for 3 seasons now, so giving the pigs a full city to live in should hopefully result in a few more interesting concepts before it kicks the bucket. The first 2 episodes were released much earlier than the rest, as they're holiday themed episodes, so we're kinda just getting dropped in the season with absolutely no context. That might be a good thing, actually. Our first Piggy protagonist is roaming the streets after a hard night of trick-or-treating. There's an ominous fog coming from behind an ominous gate that ominously creeps open as he approaches. Well, that's a little ominous! The pig goes in just because? I don't really know why he did that actually, but he's instantly spooked by a few shadow demons, transporting him through a very fun but very short art style change. He barely escapes with his life, except turns out it's just the vamp pig creating smoke by roasting weenies. Or was it? Yeah, it really was. As a Halloween episode, this was pretty mediocre. Those Toon specials went hard, but this one went pretty weak. D tier. Maybe Halloween just isn't their style. Let's try Christmas next. Santa Pig returns and we get the brand new Robber Pig character. I guess they needed a criminal roaming the streets. He's actually outsmarted Santa, stealing the presents as they're placed. But you don't fool Santa twice. He sees you when you're stealing, and he knows if you ain't nice. He threatens him with the naughty list, and seeing the name Aaron on there is absolutely no surprise to me. Maybe now's a good time to read out the rest of the naughty list. Let's see here. Groth One Finger, Cobalt Chrome E, Patrick Bayerjan, Honomaki, Decanite 9000, Bright Streak, MD Switchy, Gall Guy, Daisy, Dolphin Rider H2O, Dojo Master, Omegon, Carl Williams, Christoph Creations, Eduardo Santiago, Generic Toho Fan, It's Me Ali, Pez Dispenser, and You Are an Idiot. Oh, I'm the idiot? You're the one on the naughty list! If you want to make it on the naughty list... Wait a second, that's a horrible incentive. If you want to be known as naughty, then please consider becoming a member of the channel today. Anyways, the robber gives up on the presents but pickpockets the list from him, making it the nice list and gifting himself a load of presents that crush him. What a fiending devilish pig. Honestly, this might be one of the better Christmas episodes they've done. It's not mind-blowing or anything, but I'd give it a jolly B. Alright, we tried Halloween and that sucked. Christmas wasn't that great either. What's left? Oh dang, Valentine's Day. This one hasn't been attempted yet in the Angry Birds TV shows, so you've generally piqued my interest. A Cupid pig goes around town handing out Valentine's Day cards. He's also like massive compared to the other pigs, but that doesn't really matter. In the end, he goes to see all of the cards he receives, and he didn't get any? This is sadder than The Notebook and Marley and Me and Mars Needs Moms. But the little pigs all joined together to create a nuke to put him out of his misery. Oh wait, that's one of those good nukes. You know, the good ones. Anyways, that story had it all. A tear-jerking moment, cool animated explosions, and stinky green pigs. I don't have high hopes for this season, so I'm guessing this is probably an A-tier episode. Our first real episode of Season 4 is Roadhog. Two pigs are revving up, just waiting for that light to turn green. I gotta say, my favorite thing about this season is seeing their crazy looking houses, insane vehicles, and cool connections like the stoplight being the exact same as the one from the Angry Birds Go cinematic trailer. Anyways, when the light finally does turn green, they both hop off their bikes and they hoof it to the finish line. Definitely caught me off guard, certainly a little humorous, but absolutely a B-tier episode. This one feels very special, but even when you add in all the episodes that don't really count, it still only gets us to episode 99. This feels like it would have been perfect for a 100 episode special, but I ain't complaining, let's just enjoy. This pig has a delivery for Rovio. To Rovio? Whatever, the point is that there's only a tiny slot in the door for mail, and he's got a big box. He tries the obvious solution of using TNT, and big shocker, it didn't work. So as all members of Rovio do, he realizes the obvious solution is the slingshot over there. And seeing the actual first game reference in a series with pigs in the movie style is just a true joy. Even if it is a single second of animation, just getting that classic Angry Birds style at all made my day. As he launches himself, the door opens, and he flies all the way around the world, back into the mail slot. Which is a pretty great ending too. When most of these episodes suck, all it takes is a little reference to make me happy, so having a pretty decent episode surrounding that earns it that S tier spot. Guys, we actually made it to episode 100. Can you believe it? It's sad that this is about to be over, but then again, we are on season 4, so maybe we're being put out of our misery. A very bossy pig is forcing his friend to get a better signal on his radio, causing the poor guy to get ran over and hung by a telephone wire. But the bossy pig is so controlling, he takes the wire for himself, but he's just a cute little baby with no body fat, and launches into a billboard. What do you know, now we have perfect service. It's always great seeing the jerk get his comeuppance, but really you've entertained me enough to barely land a C tier. This episode was also released somewhat out of order. With each holiday they uploaded their holiday episode, and Egg Hunt was next. The city has eggs hidden all around, and our fellow pig just wants to join in, but he breaks his leg, he gets ran over, he falls and gets beat up by a bunch of dogs. Wait a second, since when are there dogs? We never see them, to be fair, but that's definitely dog barking. My headcanon is that there's just a group of pigs down there pretending to be dogs. The pig gets so injured he's wrapped just like an egg and is stolen during the hunt. Watching an innocent pig get tortured relentlessly is never a fun time, in my opinion. D tier. Our second basketball episode. You gotta have two, you just gotta. This time they do actually have the ability to hold the basketball, so I won't hold it against them. A rando pig wants to join in, but he's a little slow. With a bit of help, he throws the perfect shot. And again. And again. This pig is literally incapable of missing, and they go around town making insane shots. And when the basketball pig jumps in his arms to celebrate, well, he gets dunked too. I really love watching this honorary Dude Perfect member make trick shots around Pig City, so what the heck. I think that's an S tier. The robber pig returns, having a Scooby-Doo style chase scene with a police pig. The cop accidentally swallows his whistle, and the robber kindly helps him out. They pick up each other's items, realize they swapped roles, and go right back to the chase. That's a funny bit, but I can't help the feeling that they stole this from an old show like they did in the black and white one from Charlie Chaplin. It wasn't that amazing of an episode anyways, C tier. Just like that, we are back to Halloween, despite this episode releasing nowhere near the season. We see just straight up Ghost Rider from Marvel as a pig. We also see the return of the freaking Cupid pig, which I would not have ever expected to see, especially in a Halloween episode. I think he's here to contrast his lovable nature with the evil ghost hog. He attempts to scare the Cupid pig, but instead just crashes his bike and extinguishes his flamey hair. The Cupid pig, being the good Samaritan he is, gives him a ride home. What a guy. Anyways, this episode was dog dookie. You had the actual Ghost Rider, and this is all he does? Get bent, loser. F tier. Wow, if any of the humor so far were to return, I'd want nothing more than to see light bulb humor one last time. Yeah, bet you weren't expecting that line to be referenced again. This time, two pigs attempt to change the light bulb at a street lamp, And what do you know, they come up with the solution to use TNT. Man, that never gets old! The lamp falls perfectly in front of the pigs, allowing them to change the light bulb. They walk away, satisfied with a job well done. And then it falls and shatters. Bland ending, horrible, well, everything else. F tier. Our main pig comes across another pig stuck in a tree. He climbs up to help, only realizing while he's up there how terrifying it is. And their next victim arrives soon after. The ending jumps to the tree filled with pigs, but honestly, I think this joke would have really landed if there were pigs covering the entire tree. Like there was more pig than tree left of this thing. Besides, they made this joke in a dozen episodes by now, so if you aren't going to take it to the extreme, then I can't be bothered to care. Sorry, D tier. What the hell does Piggin string mean? Is that an innuendo? Do you think if I told my sexual partner I was Piggin string, she'd be impressed? You're right, I'm totally gonna pig some string tonight, oh my god. Anyways, our main pig comes across another pig stuck in a tree? Are you actually kidding? That literally just happened 1 episode ago! He messes around with some rope for a while, even charming it like a snake at one point. But he perfectly lassos to the pig, and from there you realize they have not thought their rescue through. The pig feels safe with that rope tied around him, and breaks every bone in his body. It was really very funny watching the pig just immediately start hopscotching after this. Despite doing the freaking tree bit again, this one was definitely better than the first one. B tier. 2 firefighters attempt to take out a big fire, but each time the hairless pig is injured, including a return of the pigs pretending to be dogs. The fire was actually just a birthday gone wild, and the firefighter sustains a ton of injuries, just because it's funny, I guess? See, most of the time these episodes are just bad, but I have no way to explain why. But after watching the Angry Birds Toons firefighter episode, this one is just incomparable. In that one, the fire is also just a tiny problem, but instead of the whole episode revolving around it, each time the pigs attempt to help, it gets worse. They actively destroy Pig City, and it's super entertaining all the way through. Comparing these 2 episodes is like night and day. For example, one is really good, and the other is Pork Brigade, F tier. And the other is Pork Brigade, and the other is Nah, just use the first one. Once again, we follow the wacky antics of the robber pig. He's basically playing GTA and has 5 stars now instead of 1. This pig is also like the smartest pig we've seen in the series so far. He's always one step ahead of the cops, and he uses this ladder to launch himself to freedom, only to land in the cop car. Ooh, wasted. Except, as always, he's thinking ahead. If only he thought to grab the sack of money too. This was definitely the best robber pig episode yet, but it's also getting a little stale. I'm thinking B tier. It's Christmas time again. It's also light bulb time again, somehow. Every streetlight in the city falls, and as the pigs pick them up, they happen to make beautiful acapella at the same time. And the rest of the episode is meant to emulate those acapella videos you see on YouTube all the time, down to the colored squares and everything. Unlike the last time they attempted to make music, this one sounds pretty decent. They just straight up sing Jingle Bells, and I'd recommend actually going and listening to it if you're curious. The real highlight is seeing this pig shake his ass here. There he's doing it across the whole screen, and that one's just a zoomed in view of his ass. Wonderful. Again, the acapella was pretty good, but like, this isn't even an episode of a show. This is nothing. If I wanted to see this, I'd watch Jimmy Fallon and the Guardians of the Galaxy, not this. C tier. Our pig is ready to blast off with the biggest pile of explosions we've seen yet. 3, 2, 1! What the hell? Nothing happened. Oh, it isn't plugged in. Try it again. 3, 2, 1. Alright, his main goal was to blow up, and technically he did. But once his rockets go off, he needs a little nudge to fly up and... Oh my god, he's dead! Guess I should have made this kill counter go up higher than 4. Well, rip in peace, at least he made for some cool fireworks. He really is dead though. They made a point to not show him land or something. So that's awesome, A tier. I remember this is one of the few episodes I watched before making this video. This is how I knew I shouldn't look forward to season 4. First off, that is absolutely just Santa with his hat off. The beard is the exact same. Secondly, we see the pig do the sexy purple leotard dance, but no fat ass? What's the freaking point then? Our ending joke is that the muffin is gone, taken by none other than the Muffin Master himself, who clearly is a Muffin Master. So you're telling me, in the Piggy Tales universe, Santa spends 364 days a year on this bench stealing poor pigs' muffins? Santa is straight up a supervillain, guys. Regardless, this episode sucked back then, and it sucks now. D tier. This pig simply wants to get his tan on, but can pigs get a tan? Don't think I've ever seen that. Well, he's determined to find out, or fry his own bacon trying. He uses tanning lights, a magnifying glass, and of course, what would an episode even be without TNT? It works, of course, and he walks away to show off his grill marks. For an episode about tanning, that was probably the best it could be, but that doesn't mean it's not an episode about trying to tan. C tier. This pig is green and furious, and not because he gets to drive fast and talk about family like Vin Diesel, but because he lost his keys. He does everything he can, uses explosives, yada yada yada, gets his keys and drives around in the car he blew up. The joke of using TNT has been stale, but I can't lie. These little new animated segments they've been doing have helped make me enjoy them. Still a pretty awful episode. D tier. This pig seems a little too excited about that hot dog. They play like this weird sexy music when he sees it, and then he starts moaning and, well, let me just make a little scene for you here. Yup, that's why this episode is going in S tier. Besides, we see the hot dog maker working on his masterpiece and brings out an exact replica of the sign, which is exactly what the piggy ordered. For real, I did just enjoy the episode. It's going in S for that, and not for the other things I totally didn't like. Our Rovio delivery service is back, but this time it needs to be brought across the street. The pig tries to jaywalk? Screw the robber pig, that's a straight up crime, and he deserves to pay the freaking time! Anyways, he goes through the sewers getting all dirty, only to realize he left the box. On his way back, the light turns red, and he attempts to cross, only for the light to turn green as he reaches the middle. Honestly, deserved. My boy actually attempted to jaywalk and get away with it. Pigs like you make me sick! The episode sucked too, by the way, F tier. This pig gets excited about the idea of skateboarding and builds his own dang ramp. Too bad he sucks at skateboarding. He tries a few different ways, even referencing the hoverboard from Back to the Future, but no matter what he tries, it just won't work. This genius instead just moves the ramps together, removing the ramp part entirely, and he skates towards his trophy, passing it completely and falling off the other side. That's okay, I guess. I truthfully just straight up forgot to write where I was going to rank this thing, so on the spot I think this is like a C tier, I guess. Another basketball episode, huh? It's just too iconic not to do, I guess. This time our pig really stinks at basketball, and some punk pig starts teasing him for it. He will not let him get the ball, being a complete jerk all the way through. I don't even like seeing him shake his ass and make an ahagao face at us, and that's saying something. The fat pig is literally so freaking fat that he breaks the ground, sending the punk into the hoop. As far as basketball episodes go, this one was pretty mediocre. And I should know, I've seen 3 of them now. C tier. This time, our protagonist pig is simply ringing a doorbell, but each time he does, a little guy next to him plays a catchy tune from the Piggy Tales series. It was really fun catching all the songs he played. I recognized the Superpork theme and a few others from the first season in there. They find this so fun, he goes crazy on the doorbell, and the pig inside the house takes a break from laying bricks and beats him up. I hadn't thought about this actually disturbing the resident of this house, so I really ended up loving that conclusion. I'm gonna say S tier for that one. Now we follow a graffiti artist just trying to make a mark on the world. He slowly makes the piggy part of the Piggy Tales logo as cops try to chase him down, but he pulls off a Looney Tunes moment right at the end. The cops all try to break through, but it doesn't work that way. And man, this police pig is such a freaking genius. He turns the door into a jail cell and they all literally just walk away. This man dug his own grave. I really like that ending. That's like the best final joke this season has had. 2 S tiers in a row. What a comeback. When will you learn that light bulb humor isn't funny? How many times do I have to freaking tell you? It's straight up the exact same scenario from Hard Day's Light with the same pigs and everything. I generally had to check to make sure these were different. One pig offers up TNT again, but the other's like, come on, too predictable. Now rockets? Rockets are something they would never see coming. The pig launches way too far, completely missing the light, so the other more sensible pig just fixes it himself. Of course, the rocket comes back and it knocks out every lamp on the street. I mean, yeah, this was better than the first one, but man, it's just not funny. D tier. This pig's job is to paste paper on a billboard, but well, today's just not his day. The paper falls, he almost falls, and when he grabs his broom, he gets paste on his hand, sticking the broom and the controller for the crane to him. We see him move all around and attempt to free himself, which is honestly pretty amusing. In a final freakout, he ends up creating a beautiful art piece, but really not solving his problem. I'd say this was one of the better executed episodes of the season, but not good enough for that top tier. A it is then. It may shock you, I really can't quite believe this myself, but there's only one more episode after this. Maybe now is a good time to say this was a huge workload for me, and while it ended up going much smoother than the Toons video, my entire month of November and a little December was almost nothing but Piggy Tales. I have lived and breathed Piggy Tales to make this thing, and honestly, I don't ask this often, but please consider liking and commenting on the video if you really enjoyed it. Even sharing it with other fans of Angry Birds would be really nice. Alright, let's finally wrap this video up. I really couldn't think of a better way to do that than having one final alien episode. Rather than just one UFO, we're seeing a full-on invasion today. This worker pig has pissed them off and they chase him into the sewers. After a mild probing session, I presume, he escapes and traps him underground. But, and I kid you not, they call in a mothership that is bigger than the world, and the ship abducts and shrinks the entire planet. In any other episodic show, I wouldn't bat an eye, but this thing has shown time and time again there is continuity throughout the seasons. So this really happened? The world of Piggy Tales is inside of a UFO forever then? You know what? That seems pretty fitting. That's a pretty crazy ending, but sadly I wasn't overly blown away by this last alien episode. Let's put it in A and move to the last goddamn Piggy Tales episode ever. I've been working on this video for so long that it feels like pigs would fly before I finished it. And what do you know, it looks like I was right. That isn't even the most surprising thing about this episode though. Check this out. Pigs can fly. Yep, pigs can sing. In English. Generally more impressive than flying. This finale really acts the same as the others did, but the song kept it a bit more uplifting. We see all of our favorite pigs like the Robber, the Cupid, and Ghost Hog, and all of our favorite locations like the basketball court and all the other great locations. We witness one last pig sacrifice himself for no reason other than to put up a nice "The End" sign with fireworks. I don't know if I've said this enough, but just having an ending for the show is really nice after watching Angry Birds Toons. That last episode was great, but finales can really be special. Now I wouldn't say this is my perfect finale. I would have loved to see them reference the older episodes too, since it's the end of the whole thing. Even just passing by some billboards showing some of the scenarios from the earlier seasons would have been nice. And it would not have been hard to include the theater from season 3 in this episode. But it suffices, I suppose. This really was not an amazing episode. The song was really strange, honestly. But who cares? It's over, people. Piggy Tales can have one last A tier. What, you thought I was gonna say S? I'm not that charitable. Piggy Tales is unlike anything I've ever watched before. Going into it, I assumed nothing could come close to beating my enjoyment of Angry Birds Toons. I've always had a preference to not only the birds of the series, but just 2D animation in general. Besides, Toons had a ton of great pig episodes already, so why does Piggy Tales even exist? Well, we've all seen it now, and I think it's pretty clear why it's so beloved. Each minion pig is basically the same, but the way they interact with everyday items and problems is always a blast to see. The pigs are dumb, the pigs are ugly, but most importantly, they're just lovable. We start with Season 1 with an amazing CGI claymation style. The pigs are so expressive, the world they live in is so unique and mysterious, and the silly humor is just as perfect as it could be. Then in Season 2, they go to work, and we see just what happens when the pigs attempt to be productive. It almost always goes wrong, but that's what keeps us entertained. Then the Angry Birds movie released, and the pigs took on a whole new style. Sure, they put on a few performances and completed some insane stunts, but really the third act was just a mix of fun concepts and, well, some pretty bad ones. And finally, 4th Street expanded their world into an entire city. Pigs of all shapes and sizes were able to live together and experience the urban lifestyle together. They also decided to continue their not so great episode concepts, but at least there were a few more good ones left in the bunch. But seriously, how many shows do you know of that almost completely change in every season? Not only themes, but animation styles? I really can't think of any show like it. And somehow there were narratives, characters returned, endings were treasured. It made this unique series just that much more special. I love pigs, Charlie! I love pigs! So that's what I think of Piggy Tales. It's a really special series. Nothing will ever be like it. And I'm really glad I got to reconnect with it again, one last time. For real, I'm never watching this again. I loved it, but man, this thing took forever. These are my personal takes, and I would love to hear your favorite and least favorite episodes as well. Who cares if we have different opinions? If you love something I hate, then more power to you. If you really feel like putting each episode on a tier list, don't bother trying to download every title card and uploading them to Tier List Maker. On my Patreon, for just $5, you can make this tier list super quick, plus any other tier list of mine. Plus you get early access to my videos, plus it supports me and my videos, so really it's a win-win-win sort of deal. I already shouted out my members, you can join my Discord if you want, and I guess I can finally quit talking now. You guys really listen to me talk for that long? Look down at the red time bar at the bottom. You really spend that long listening to me? Man, you gotta be sick of me. And if you're not, that means you're a true Millie at heart. And that's real beautiful. Oh, you actually are sick of me. Okay, sorry, I'll just shut up then.